All right, we're out here in the garage today, trying to button up some more Honda work. These two engines, my GSR, that's rebuilt with Type R internals, and a spare B18c of mine are on engine stands. So I got both my housemate's engine stand and my own engine stand tied up right now. And the only thing they really need to come off those engine stands is just to have the valves adjusted, have the valve lash set correctly. They will be slightly different. I think that the one with the GSR, not the GSR with the Skunk 2 cams, I think it's or 7 thousandths, between 7 and 8 thousandths, and then the factory one, I think it's between 6 and 7 thousandths is the setting. So we'll get that figured out. Super jacked up on Riot energy drink, not sponsored, and vegan ramen, which I'm also eating right now. So give me 5 on my black hand side, and let's go. So I believe there's only a couple tools necessary for this. A set of feeler gauges to get in there to make sure that we are measuring it correctly. And this super cool tool that allows us to adjust, I think it compresses while being able to turn. I think this is the 10 millimeter one. I think it's both a 10 and a 12, but I think this is the one we need for this. And we will set them all. This one between 6 and 7 thousandths, between 7 and 8, and then 7 and 8 thousandths on both of these. But we're gonna probably set them all to just about 7, and that should work good for all of them. So yeah, I get the tops off these, and then we'll get started. And I think we'll need one other tool to turn the crank, because I know that none of the valves that we're working on can be compressed by the cam. So they need to be in a position where the cam's not pressing down on them. So that will be a consistent adjustment for each measurement. So I'll show that in this video. So the other tool we need is a 19 mil, either wrench or socket that turns this. Right now you can see that both of these are facing up, so it's a top dead center. And so that's gonna, if you can see, that's the lobe of the cam sticking up and not pressing on these. And so that should be clear to use. And that tool, what it does is it goes on top of here, because we're loosening these up, and then with a flathead screwdriver, you're able to loosen those, and then when it's time to be tightened, you're able to hold it in place while retightening this nut. That's all a valve adjustment is. It just takes time and rotating the crank numerous times. There's a trick you can do where you can skip over, because there should be a corresponding cylinder. Like if it's not pressing here, then it should also not be pressing on one of these, but we'll just do each of them. And just like me, you can watch videos about that. That's not really so much what we're doing here. This mostly just needs to get done and illustrate any points that might be something to catch up on. But yeah, so it's sliding in there between the cam and what's that, the lifter? Rocker. Okay, so I knew it was one of those two. I'm learning car terms. I'm explaining them to you as well. And so I think we have the 7 thousandths in there, and we're trying to make sure that's nice and snug, so that the 8 thousandths is too big and the 6 thousandths would be too loose. This is not the end all to be all. Like, you can do this without this tool, but it requires pretty much having a third hand because of all the things you have to keep in motion. But this is so cool because the flathead's inside, so you can hold that top piece in place because you loosen or tighten that, and then the 10 mil around there is what locks it into place once you set it to how you want it. Oh, there we go. So let's see this bad boy in action. Yeah. See, one hand stays in place, and that tightens that piece around there nice and snug. And you can recheck to make sure that it didn't slip any and it's still right where you had it. And then we'll turn the crank to the next one. I think we go from 1 to 3. Is that right? Something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Because I think it moves in quarter turns, because that lets up on one set. Let's just get in there. So while we were working on this, we were discussing the ills of having, if your valves are adjusted incorrectly and they are too loose, it's mostly going to be a sound that you're going to hear of the valves clacking and hitting, but it shouldn't really cause any damage. If the valves are too tight, that's where you run into a few more problems of things maybe not being as efficient as possible. The motor might seem like it's misfiring. So it's good to have them as dead on as possible, because that's going to lend for the best performance. There's not a lot of horsepower going through here. I'm shooting for 200, probably be below that. but I'm just trying to get higher than the stock GSR, closer to what the actual Type R would be. And while I'm at it, I have some things to consider. I'm in California, so I have to keep it as stock as possible. These are carb approved or exempt, where I can use this, and I have a little sticker to prove it. These are the only carb approved cams, the Skunk 2 Tuner 1s. And even this, I don't think I can run this for my referee test. This is the Type R header. Look how big that hole is. That's amazing. But I have to get my whole exhaust redone even to fit that. We will after we ref, because if you look at this, this is more of the normal size one. I know this matches with my cat and my exhaust, so that's the normal size one. That definitely feels different in size. I'm gonna measure them. I'll be right back. Since I'm very easily distracted, I got out this tape measure. No, we're not measuring what you think. We're measuring those exhausts. So here is a stock B series manifold. I think these are all different. I think one of them is a GSR and the other ones are LS. I'm not sure, but measuring how much we have right here, this looks like, I don't know, like 175, almost 2. This one, this is a DC Sports one, about the same internal. Let's walk it over to this cool ITR one. And this one, what are we looking at? Get into position. This looks like almost 2 1/4 internal diameter. So I think right now my exhaust is 2 1/4, maybe total. I'm not really sure, but it's gonna have to be adjusted. But we'll burn that bridge when we come to it. Also had to see what was in the box. This is my valve cover gasket with the spark plug seals, and I think new, what are those things called? Grommets washer or something that goes on the valve cover right there. So as soon as the valves are done, this can be secured, and this bad boy is ready to go, minus a spark plug, and a few small hoses need to be connected, but obviously they don't need to be connected when it's not in a car, but we're getting it ready for that point. Once this is ready, the B16 and my red hatch right there has to come out. The engine bay has to be redone. I think that's the first one that we did together, and I did not take it as far as I wanted to. And then we had a clutch master cylinder from a S2000, that conversion, and that leaked. And of course, that's very corrosive to paint. So that needs to be repainted, just cleaning the whole bay, maybe fill a few unused holes, and then we're back in business. And then I will have to break in the new clutch and flywheel, which is in that box. It's going to be a 9-pound flywheel, which is lighter than stock by, I think, half. I think the stock one is 18. People can definitely correct me on that. 18, 22, something in that. Lighter, because the Type R one's light. I think the Type R one was 14. I read all kinds of stuff, but everything I read is different, so I don't know if it's 100% factual, but I got a lighter one with a 6-putt clutch to go on here. So once that's broken in, and this is broken in, then we can finally see if this is something to write home about. All right, now that the valves are all adjusted and all to 7/1000ths, as the little clearance I have in there, I got the valve cover on, valve cover gasket on, excuse me, and it goes a specific way. There's little notches right here that line up so you know which way it goes. And then I'm gonna put these on, but first I'm gonna put some RTV on the inside of here, just across the top. Then I'm gonna stick them in here, and then I will put some on the corresponding seals right here, and possibly out here. At each corner right here and there, and that should be good to get fastened on. And that I'm gonna do real quick and be right back. This is a very big step. We finished all that top end stuff, just have it vaguely secured. I don't have any nice hardware, so I just put on the acorn nuts we had, plus some tins under there. And so all this is just sitting there ready to be used, and I can push this off where it's safe. And right now we have to take out this engine mount so that hopefully we can mount this block so the B18A1 project can continue. And I'm noticing some things. We left the manifold on here, tightened it down, and now this bolt is too long, so now we can't get it out. But it's okay, it doesn't really need to go anywhere for now. It won't need to move till we actually put the transmission on. And then on this other side, we messed that one up, so that's getting cut off. But I think that's it for the video for today. We're just getting this bad boy squared away. That's a very big step. Hey, quick question. If anyone knows, I'm running the Skunk 2 intake manifold, and I would really like to run the B16 fuel rail, but I know it doesn't fit on the B18s typically, but I'm hoping with this manifold it'll allow this to run, because then I can mount this, which I need for emissions here, because on the Integra it's mounted on the manifold. So I have the B18 one, the GSR one right here, and I have the B16 one. So let me know, can I run this one? Will it fit is more the case, because I think both are factory, so they both should be legal for smog, but we'll see. All right, until I see you next time, fam.